Rain crashed against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the massive conference hall as some of the most powerful people in South Korea sat around a polished black table. The atmosphere was tense. No one dared speak. At the head of the table sat the newly appointed heir of the country's most feared empire. His expression was unreadable. Cold. Dangerously calm. The elders of the family watched him carefully. One of them finally pushed a file across the table. Inside was the photograph of a beautiful woman from one of the wealthiest families in Korea. "This marriage has already been arranged," the elders said firmly. "It will strengthen the family. It will secure our future." Everyone expected him to nod. Everyone expected him to obey. After all, generations before him had sacrificed their personal happiness for power. But instead, the young heir slowly closed the file. Then he looked around the room. His voice was quiet, yet every word felt like thunder. "I won't marry her." The room froze. Several elders exchanged shocked glances. One of them stood immediately. "You don't have a choice." The young heir's eyes darkened. "Actually, I do." His next words sent shockwaves through the entire family. "Because I've already chosen the woman I love." The silence became unbearable. "Who?" The question echoed through the room. The heir stared toward the rain-covered window. And for the first time in years, memories flooded his mind. Memories of a girl. A girl who had stood beside him when nobody else did. A girl who had wiped his tears when he was just a lonely child. A girl who belonged to the very bottom of the social ladder. A maid's daughter. And the moment his relatives discovered who she was, everything changed. Because they would never allow her to become the queen of their empire. And they were already planning how to remove her from his life forever. But what happens next changes everything. If you love Korean billionaire romance and mafia love stories like this, subscribe now to @Official_Threads and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story. Years earlier, long before he became one of the most powerful men in Korea, long before people trembled at the sound of his name, Kang Min-jun was just a lonely boy. His family owned businesses worth billions. Politicians respected them. Executives feared them. The public admired them. But behind the glamorous image was an empire built on influence, secrets, and power. And inside the largest mansion on the outskirts of Seoul lived a boy who had everything except happiness. His mother died when he was 8. His father buried himself in work. The servants obeyed him but never truly cared for him. His relatives only saw him as the future heir. Nobody asked how he felt. Nobody cared whether he was lonely. Every morning, he woke up inside a room larger than most apartments. Every evening, he ate dinner alone. Every night, he stared at the ceiling wondering why money couldn't make people stay. Then one day, someone unexpected entered his life. Her name was Zara. She was the daughter of one of the senior maids working in the mansion. Unlike everyone else, Zara wasn't afraid of him. She didn't care about his status. She didn't care about his wealth. She simply saw a sad boy sitting by himself. The first time they met, Min-jun was sitting in the garden after being bullied at school. Several classmates had mocked him. They called him emotionless. They called him strange. Some even whispered rumors about his family. Min-jun sat alone under a tree, trying not to cry. Then a small voice interrupted him. "You're supposed to fight back." He looked up. A young girl stood before him, holding a basket of flowers. Her eyes were bright, confident, fearless. Min-jun frowned. "What? If somebody hurts you, you fight back." He stared at her. Nobody had ever spoken to him like that. "Who are you?" "Zara." She smiled. "And you're crying." "I'm not." "You are." "I'm not." She laughed. For the first time in months, Min-jun found himself smiling. It was a tiny smile, but it changed everything. From that day onward, they became inseparable. Every morning Zara waited for him before school. Every afternoon, she listened to his complaints. Every evening, they explored the enormous gardens together. When he struggled with homework, she helped him. When he was sad, she listened. When he doubted himself, she encouraged him. Slowly, she became the one person he trusted completely. What he didn't know was that she was becoming equally important to him. Years passed. Their friendship grew stronger. The lonely boy slowly transformed into a confident young man, and Zara remained beside him through every stage. However, not everyone was happy about their friendship, especially his relatives. The older Min-jun became, the more obvious his attachment to Zara became. Family members began whispering. Servants noticed. Executives noticed. Even his father noticed. One afternoon, Min-jun's aunt watched the pair laughing together in the garden. Disgust crossed her face. She's forgetting her place. The woman beside her nodded. That girl is becoming too comfortable. Neither of them knew how dangerous their resentment would become. Meanwhile, Min-jun remained unaware. He simply enjoyed spending time with Zara. Unfortunately, adulthood was approaching, and adulthood would test their bond in ways neither of them expected. At 17, Min-jun left Korea to study abroad. It was his father's decision. The family wanted him prepared for leadership. The night before his departure, he met Zara near the garden fountain. The moonlight reflected across the water. Neither wanted to say goodbye. "I'll come back," he promised. Zara smiled. "I know. You'll wait for me." She laughed softly. "You make it sound like we're married." For some reason, her joke made. Neither understood why. "Not yet. I'll still wait." For several seconds, they simply looked at each other. Something had changed. Something neither could explain. Then the moment passed. The next morning he left. And suddenly the mansion felt empty. For both of them. Months became years. Years became longer. Their friendship survived through messages and calls. But distance changed people. Min-jun matured into an extraordinary man. He became intelligent, disciplined, powerful. His father's executives began calling him a future legend. Meanwhile, Zara pursued her education while helping her mother. She developed grace, intelligence, and quiet confidence. Anyone who met her immediately noticed something special. But life was preparing a challenge neither saw coming. When Min-jun returned to Korea at 27, the entire country seemed ready to welcome him home. The heir had returned. Business magazines praised him. Investors celebrated him. Executives admired him. Yet the only person he wanted to see was Zara. The moment he stepped into the mansion, his eyes searched the crowd. Then he saw her, standing beside her mother. For a second time seemed to stop. She was no longer the young girl he remembered. She had become breathtaking, elegant, beautiful, confident, and completely unaware that his heart had just skipped a beat. Meanwhile, Zara stared at him in shock. The shy boy she remembered was gone. In his place stood a powerful man with sharp features and commanding presence. Neither spoke, neither moved. Yet both felt the same thing. Something had changed. Something dangerous. Something beautiful. And neither knew how to handle it. But what she didn't know was that his family had already begun making plans for his future. Plans that did not include her. Within weeks of his return, pressure started mounting. Business alliances, political partnerships, marriage discussions. Every conversation pointed toward one goal. The future heir needed a suitable wife. Someone wealthy. Someone influential. Someone approved by the family. Someone who was definitely not a maid's daughter. Min-jun ignored the pressure at first. His focus remained on rebuilding the empire alongside his father. Yet every day, he found himself spending more time with Zara. They shared meals, talked for hours, revisited childhood memories, laughed like old friends. But underneath those moments, deeper emotions were growing, dangerously fast. One evening they sat together overlooking the city lights. The wind gently moved her hair. Min-jun watched her quietly. "What?" she asked. "Nothing. You're staring." He smiled. "So are you." Her cheeks turned red immediately. She looked away, and for the first time, neither knew what to say. Meanwhile, danger was already approaching. Across the city, powerful families had begun hearing rumors. The heir seemed interested in a maid's daughter. At first they laughed. Then they investigated. Then they became concerned. Because the rumors were true. And among those paying attention was a woman named Han Seo-yeon. Beautiful, wealthy, ambitious, and selected by Min-jun's relatives as the perfect future wife. Unfortunately for them, the future heir had already fallen in love. He just hadn't admitted it yet. And when he finally did, the entire empire would be shaken. Rumors spread quietly at first, like ripples moving across still water. A few servants noticed the way Min-jun looked at Zara whenever she entered a room. A few executives noticed how his expression softened whenever her name was mentioned. Then the whispers began traveling beyond the mansion walls. Soon the entire inner circle of the family knew. The future leader of Korea's most powerful empire had become emotionally attached to a maid's daughter. And for some people, that was unacceptable. But Min-jun remained unaware of how serious the situation was becoming. Because for the first time in his life, he felt genuinely happy. Every day gave him another reason to seek Zara's company. He found excuses to walk through the gardens where she liked to spend time. He extended meetings simply because she would bring tea afterward. He delayed business trips whenever possible. Without realizing it, she had become the center of his world. Meanwhile, Zara was fighting a battle of her own. The closer they became, the harder it became to ignore her feelings. She had loved him for years, not because of his wealth, not because of his power, but because she remembered the lonely boy hidden beneath all those titles. She remembered the child who sat alone in the garden, the teenager who trusted her with his fears, the young man who always treated her like an equal. Yet she also understood reality. There was a line between their worlds, a line she was never supposed to cross. And lately, that line seemed to be disappearing. One afternoon, Zara was arranging flowers inside the mansion's sunroom when Min-jun entered unexpectedly. She looked up. Their eyes met. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then he walked toward her. "You've been avoiding me." She immediately shook her head. "No, I haven't." "You have." "I've been busy." "That's not true." His voice was calm, but his eyes revealed something deeper, something personal. Zara lowered her gaze. Her heart was beating far too fast. "What do you want me to say?" Min-jun took another step closer. The distance between them disappeared. "I want you to tell me what's bothering you." The sincerity in his voice made her chest tighten. Because the truth was simple. She was terrified. Terrified of loving someone she could never have. Terrified of hoping for something impossible. Terrified that one day reality would destroy everything they had built together. But she couldn't tell him that. So she smiled. "I'm fine." Min-jun stared at her for several seconds. Then he sighed. He knew she wasn't telling the truth. But he also knew forcing her wouldn't help. What he didn't know was that someone had witnessed the entire interaction. His aunt. And her expression darkened immediately. The situation was becoming dangerous. Much more dangerous than she had expected. That evening, the family held a private dinner. Several influential relatives attended. Business partners joined. Political allies appeared. The gathering looked ordinary. But beneath the surface, everyone had the same agenda. Marriage. As soon as dinner ended, one of the elders addressed Min-jun. "There is someone we'd like you to meet." Min-jun immediately knew where the conversation was going. His expression hardened. "No." The elder smiled politely. "You haven't even heard her name." "I don't need to." The room grew quiet. Several guests exchanged uncomfortable glances. His aunt leaned forward. "This isn't just about marriage. It's about responsibility." Min-jun remained silent. Another relative continued. "Our family needs stability. We need alliances. We need someone suitable." The word suitable irritated him, because he knew exactly what they meant. Someone rich. Someone powerful. Someone approved. Someone like Han Seo-yun. Not Zara. Never Zara. The discussion continued for nearly an hour. By the end of it, Min-jun was exhausted. Yet his relatives had accomplished something important. They had made their intentions clear. A confrontation was coming, and everyone knew it. Meanwhile, Zara was experiencing problems of her own. The servants had started treating her differently. Some remained friendly. Others became distant. A few openly judged her. The whispers followed her everywhere. She heard them in hallways. She heard them in kitchens. She heard them during lunch breaks. She thinks she's special. She's getting too close to him. She should remember her place. The words hurt more than she wanted to admit. But she kept moving forward, because she refused to let gossip define her. Still, each day became more difficult, and things were about to get worse. A week later, Han Seo-yun officially entered Min-jun's life. The meeting had been arranged without his consent. When he arrived at a business event, he immediately realized what had happened. His relatives were waiting. So was Seo-yun. She was beautiful, elegant, intelligent, everything society considered perfect. But the moment Min-jun looked at her, he felt absolutely nothing. No excitement, no curiosity, no connection, just emptiness. Unfortunately, Seo-yun noticed immediately, and unlike most people, she was extremely observant. Throughout the evening, she watched him carefully. Then she noticed something interesting. Every time Zara entered the room to assist with event preparations, Min-jun's attention shifted. Every single time. The realization struck her instantly. The rumors were true. At first she found it amusing. Then she found it insulting. How could a man like Min-jun prefer a maid's daughter over her? The thought wounded her pride. And wounded pride can become dangerous. Meanwhile, Min-jun was reaching a realization of his own. One that could no longer be ignored. A few days later, he and Zara visited the old garden where they had spent countless afternoons as children. The weather was perfect. The flowers were blooming. The entire estate seemed peaceful. For a while they simply talked. They laughed about old memories. They shared stories from the years they spent apart. Everything felt natural, comfortable, familiar. Then Zara began talking about the future. "I've been thinking about moving." The words hit him unexpectedly. His smile disappeared. "Moving where?" "I'm not sure." "Why?" She hesitated. Then she looked away. "I can't stay here forever." Something inside him tightened. A feeling he couldn't explain. The idea of her leaving felt wrong. Painful. Unacceptable. For the first time, he imagined a future without her. And he hated it. Absolutely hated it. The realization arrived like a lightning strike. He didn't just care about Zara. He loved her. The truth was suddenly impossible to deny. Every memory, every smile, every conversation, every moment of happiness in his life seemed connected to her. She wasn't simply important. She was everything. And once he understood that, nothing would ever be the same. That night Min Jun barely slept. His mind replayed years of memories. Moments he had overlooked. Feelings he had ignored. Signs he had misunderstood. Everything suddenly made sense. By morning, his decision was made. He was done pretending. Done hiding. Done allowing fear to control him. He was going to tell Zara how he felt. But what he didn't know was that someone else had already made a move. The next afternoon Zara received an invitation. A private meeting. The sender was Han Seo-yeon. At first she considered refusing. But curiosity won. When she arrived at the luxury cafe, Seo-yeon was already waiting. The woman smiled politely. "Thank you for coming." Zara sat down cautiously. The conversation began pleasantly enough. But beneath the polite words was something sharp. Something calculated. Eventually Seo-yeon asked the question she truly wanted answered. "Do you love him?" Zara froze. Her heartbeat accelerated. For several seconds, she couldn't respond. The silence itself became an answer. Seo-yeon's smile faded. Not because she was angry, because she finally understood the situation. This wasn't one-sided. The feelings were real. And suddenly Zara became a much bigger problem than expected. Still, Seo-yeon surprised her. Instead of insults, she spoke honestly. "Do you know what kind of life waits for him?" Zara remained silent. "Do you know how many people depend on him?" Again, silence. Seo-yeon leaned forward. "Love isn't always enough." The words stayed with Zara long after the meeting ended. Because deep down, she feared they might be true. That evening she sat alone in the garden. Thinking. Questioning. Doubting. Could she really stand beside someone like Min Jun? Could she survive the pressure? Could she endure the judgment? Most importantly, could she become the reason conflict tore his family apart? The questions haunted her. Meanwhile, Min Jun was searching for her. When he finally found her, the sun was setting. Golden light covered the garden. The sight of her sitting alone immediately concerned him. "Zara." She looked up. His heart softened instantly. Yet her expression worried him. "What happened?" She forced a smile. "Nothing." He sat beside her. For several moments neither spoke. Then he finally gathered his courage. Years of unspoken emotions. Years of hidden feelings. Years of longing. Everything led to this moment. "There's something I need to tell you." Zara's heart skipped a beat. Because something in his voice felt different. Serious. Certain. Life-changing. And what he was about to say would alter both of their futures forever. Because the next words from Min Jun's mouth would reveal a truth neither of them could take back. A truth powerful enough to challenge an empire. And powerful enough to test whether love could truly overcome status, tradition, and fear. The evening air felt unusually still. The garden that had witnessed their childhood laughter now stood silent, as if even the wind was waiting to hear what would happen next. Min Jun sat beside Zara, his heart pounding harder than it ever had during billion-dollar negotiations, boardroom battles, or high-stakes decisions. For years, he had faced powerful men without fear. Yet at that moment, sitting beside the woman he loved, he felt nervous. Because this was the one thing he could not control. This was the one person whose answer truly mattered. He looked at her. The same girl who had sat beside him when nobody else cared. The same girl who had protected him from loneliness. The same girl who had unknowingly become the center of his world. And finally, he spoke. "Zara." She slowly turned toward him. His eyes never left hers. "I think I've loved you for a very long time." The world seemed to stop. For several seconds, Zara forgot how to breathe. She stared at him, certain she had misunderstood, certain she was dreaming. But his expression remained serious. Honest. Certain. Min Jun smiled softly. I kept trying to convince myself it was friendship. He laughed quietly. But every time you smiled, I forgot every important thing I was supposed to be thinking about. Zara's eyes immediately filled with tears. He continued, when I was a child, you were the only person who treated me like a normal human being. His voice softened. When I left Korea, you were the person I missed the most. Another step closer. When I came back, I realized the mansion only felt like home when you were there. His eyes became emotional. And when you said you might leave, he paused, then whispered, it felt like my future was disappearing. Tears rolled down Zara's cheeks. Years. Years of hidden feelings. Years of believing her love would never be returned. Years of convincing herself to expect nothing. And now the impossible was happening. Min-jun gently took her hand. I love you. The words settled between them. Simple. Powerful. Life-changing. For several seconds Zara could not speak. Then she laughed through her tears. A shaky, emotional laugh. I hate you. Min-jun blinked. What? She wiped her eyes. Do you know how long I've been waiting to hear that? For a moment he simply stared. Then realization hit him. His eyes widened. You? Zara nodded. I love you too. The smile that appeared on Min-jun's face was unlike anything she had ever seen. The cold air. The feared future king. The intimidating businessman. All of it disappeared. For the first time in years, he looked completely happy. And under the fading sunset, they finally embraced. Neither realizing that difficult days were still ahead. Because while love had finally brought them together, the people around them were preparing for war. Not with weapons, not with violence, but with pressure, manipulation, tradition, and expectations. The following week changed everything. Min-jun officially informed his relatives of his decision. The reaction was immediate. Shock, disbelief, anger. The elders gathered once again inside the same conference room where marriage discussions had started. Only this time, the atmosphere felt much heavier. One elder slammed his hand against the table. This is unacceptable. Another shook his head. You are risking generations of planning. A third spoke firmly. You cannot place personal feelings above family interests. Min-jun listened quietly. Then he answered, for years you've asked me to become a strong leader. The room fell silent. He continued, now that I've made my own decision, suddenly strength becomes a problem. Nobody replied. Because deep down, they knew he was right. One of his uncles stood. You would choose a maid's daughter over your responsibilities? Min-jun's eyes hardened. No. The room became quiet. I am choosing the woman who stood beside me before I had responsibilities. That answer left several people speechless. Because they understood exactly what he meant. Zara had never wanted power, never wanted influence, never wanted money. She had simply loved him, long before anyone knew what he would become. Meanwhile, Zara was experiencing her own emotional struggle. Although she loved Min-jun deeply, guilt continued growing inside her heart. Every day, she saw more tension within the family. Every day, she heard new whispers. Every day, she wondered whether she was creating problems for the man she loved. One evening, she sat alone with her mother. The older woman listened quietly. Then she smiled. Do you love him? Zara nodded. More than anything. Her mother gently squeezed her hand. Then stop apologizing for being loved. The words struck her deeply, because for years she had focused on what she lacked. Status, money, influence, position. But she had forgotten something important. None of those things were why Min-jun loved her. He loved her because of who she was. And perhaps that mattered more than anything else. But what she didn't know was that another person was going through a transformation as well. Han Seo-yeon, the woman chosen by the family. The woman everyone expected Min-jun to marry. At first she had been hurt. Her pride had suffered. Her plans had collapsed. Yet after watching Min-jun and Zara, she began understanding something. He never belonged to her. He never loved her. And forcing someone to choose a life they didn't want would only create misery. One afternoon she requested a private meeting with Zara. The younger woman arrived nervously, unsure what to expect. But Seo-yeon's expression surprised her. There was no hostility, no bitterness, no resentment, only calm acceptance. After several minutes of conversation, Seo-yeon smiled. You know something? Zara looked confused. What? Seo-yeon laughed. I've never seen him smile the way he smiles around you. Zara blushed immediately. The older woman continued. Take care of him. The words were sincere. And somehow, hearing them removed a weight from Zara's heart. For the first time, She felt like she no longer needed permission to be happy. Months passed. The pressure from the family continued. But slowly, something unexpected began happening. Min-jun's leadership was proving exceptional. Business divisions expanded. Investments succeeded. International partnerships increased. Profits grew. The empire became stronger than ever. And suddenly, the arguments against Zara began losing power. Because the family's greatest fear had always been instability. But Min-jun was proving that loving Zara made him stronger. Not weaker. Calmer. More focused. More human. Even employees noticed the difference. The cold air everyone feared had become more approachable, more compassionate, more balanced. And many quietly credited Zara. Because she never tried to change him. She simply reminded him who he truly was. Meanwhile, something beautiful was happening between them. They built a life together slowly, peacefully. They visited small cafes without bodyguards, walked through parks, shared late-night conversations, cooked meals together, celebrated ordinary moments. And those ordinary moments became their greatest treasure, because after years of loneliness, both had finally found home in another person. 1 year later, Min-jun made another important decision. This time there was no conference room, no elders, no executives, no family politics, only him and Zara. He took her back to the garden fountain where they had said goodbye years earlier. The same fountain, the same place, the same two people. Only now everything had changed. The evening lights reflected across the water. Zara smiled. "You've been acting suspicious all day." Min-jun laughed. "I know." Then he took a deep breath. His heart raced once again, just like the night he confessed. He reached into his pocket and slowly knelt. Zara froze. Tears immediately filled her eyes. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Min-jun looked up, his eyes shining with emotion. "When I was a child, you gave me friendship." He smiled. "When I was lost, you gave me courage." His voice trembled slightly. "When I became powerful, you reminded me to stay human." The tears finally escaped her eyes. And then came the question that contained years of memories, years of love, years of loyalty, years of waiting. "Zara," he smiled, "will you marry me?" The answer arrived before he even finished speaking. "Yes." She laughed through tears. "Yes." Again. "Yes." The entire garden seemed brighter. And for the second time in their lives, they embraced beneath the stars. Only now there were no goodbyes. Only beginnings. The wedding took place several months later. To everyone's surprise, many relatives attended. Not because all of them approved, but because they had finally accepted reality. Love had won. Not through force, not through rebellion, not through destruction, but through patience, consistency, and unwavering loyalty. As Zara walked down the aisle, countless guests watched in admiration. Not because she came from wealth, not because she came from influence, but because she carried herself with grace, confidence, and quiet strength. The same qualities that had made a lonely boy trust her years ago. When she finally reached Min-jun, neither could stop smiling. And in that moment, every hardship felt worthwhile. Every tear, every obstacle, every sacrifice, everything had led them there. Years later, their story became something of a legend within the empire. Employees told newer generations about the heir who refused an arranged marriage, about the powerful leader who chose love over status, about the maid's daughter who became the most respected woman in the family, not because of her title, but because of her character. And every time people asked Min-jun whether he regretted defying tradition, his answer never changed. Not once. Not ever. He would simply smile, look toward Zara, and say, "Choosing her was the easiest decision I ever made." This story reminds us that genuine love is not built on wealth, status, influence, or family expectations. True love is built on loyalty, trust, kindness, and the people who stand beside us when we have nothing to offer except our hearts. Min-jun discovered that power means very little if it costs you the person who truly understands you. Zara proved that character matters more than social status. And together they showed that love becomes strongest when two people continue choosing each other despite every obstacle standing in their way. Sometimes the right person enters your life long before you realize their importance. And when that person remains beside you through your darkest moments, never let fear, pride, or society convince you to let them go. Because the greatest success in life is not power. It is finding someone who makes power feel unnecessary. If you made it this far, let us know where you're watching from and comment your favorite moment below, like this video, and subscribe to @Physial_Threads for more emotional Mafia love stories.